Have you ever felt like there isn't enough hours in the day? Homework piling up, games on weekends, practice after school, and somehow you're supposed to get enough sleep? Well, if you're a student athlete, this video is for you. Hi guys, today in this video we'll be talking about how to balance school plus sports. But we won't be doing this alone. I have a guest with us.
Hi, my name is Micah. I'm a student athlete here at STEAM and I play volleyball and basketball.
Yes, Micah, she'll be helping us out because we'll be splitting this video into 3 parts with how she views stuff and what she does to balance school and sports. Segment 1. The reality of being a student athlete. Now I know being like a student athlete, it can look cool sometimes, but sometimes it can be a lot of work. But Micah, what is the biggest misconception about student athletes?
I think the biggest misconception that we face, like from adults or just people in general, is that we spend too much time focusing on one aspect. So whether that's focusing too much in on the student part, so then you're not doing as well as you should be in sports, or you're focusing too much on the athlete part and you're not doing as well as you should be in school.
Yeah, I can kind of relate to that because like some people think like, oh, for example, like for parents, like they'll be like, okay, you got to focus on your work. Like sports is not everything, but like you want to make sure that you're giving your all in both. You want to have like that balance.
Yeah,
like
balance is a big part of it. You have to be like not necessarily well-rounded, but just being able to be flexible. If you want to be a flexible person, being able to like, oh, I gotta do my homework at practice, like, whatever that is, just be flexible because being a student athlete is not easy.
Right, like for example, like sometimes let's say if I have like a lot of homework during like class, right? I have to sometimes use like example for like bus rides or just like what like we have at our school called rec time. We have to use those moments to do homework because we have practice after school and sometimes people don't even get out of practice until like 9 or 8 p.m. So that's why you always got to use like those little pocket times to make sure that you get in your homework and make sure you have that done because overall like sports is important, but overall academics is important too because like that's your future, but at the same time you have to, like what Micah said, find that like flexibility, having the balance of sports and school.
So like for student athletes watching this video, you can be like, obviously we're all student athletes, but do you have those qualities such as flexibility, like being able to
like manage your time,
manage your time management or handle whatever's thrown at your way? Like that's something that student athletes need to have. It's really easy. You just have to be like ready and capable of it. Yeah, consistent.
Moving still on to segment 1, but our second question. So Micah, where does most of the pressure come from being a student athlete?
So obviously speaking as a student athlete, I feel like most of the pressure, probably, at least in my opinion, it comes from like half of it coming from your parents and then the other half just as someone who cares a lot about being the best I can be, being that top dog, then also half of it also coming from myself, putting pressure on myself because like I want to perform good. Like for example, I play volleyball, so I want to perform good in volleyball. I want to hit the ball as hard as I can. But then also in school, I want to ace this test. So I feel like a lot of the pressure, especially since our student athletes have to balance, like have good balance and flexibility with things, I feel like a lot of it comes from parents' pressure because they want their kids to do well, and then self-pressure because we want ourselves to do well.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. Like especially with my parents, like my dad, he's always pushing me to like strive because if you're like similar to me, kind of, I'm tall, so my parents pressure me into making sure like I use my height as an advantage, and because like what my dad says, like it's a God-given like talent of like of my height, so like they always want me to like make sure I use like my height as an advantage for like basketball because I play basketball, or volleyball. I'm not like a volleyball player, but like they say like I have that advantage. And sometimes, for example, like if you're a tall person, you don't want to play sports, like you're interested into other things, but that your parents put that pressure on you to make sure that like you're using your height for sports, what they want you to do.
But also another thing is people have different forms of pressure. So the two that I said is just something that I experienced myself.
Yeah.
But like maybe you have a coach who's hard on you. They're probably also hard on you for a reason. Like I want this kid to do well, or this kid has that potential. So I feel like pressure, it comes in many forms. Those are just two forms that I experience.
Like there can be good pressure and there can be bad pressure. Like for example, like what Micah said, like your coach, like they see potential in you, like they yell at you or they make sure that you're doing what you need to do to get to that level because they see that you can become something great. But then there's a difference between bad pressure where it's affecting your mental health and it's getting a little too far and like you're not prioritizing sometimes yourself and sometimes it can like, like get overwhelmed or like out of hand.
Like I know a lot of student athletes who put a lot of pressure on themselves, like especially me. Like I put so much pressure on myself. Like there's times where I just want to cry, like being so real, where I just want to cry because sometimes it just feels like it's too much because like you want to be the best, like you're overriding yourself at this point. But like just if you know how to like manage stress, manage pressure, I guess it's not as hard as it can be.
Yeah.
So pressure, like Jordan said, there's good and there's bad. And I feel like if you take the bad pressure and just calm yourself down about it, it can become into like good pressure, I guess.
Yeah. Segment 2, time management. Sometimes school can get very overwhelming. You might forget that you had practice, that one homework assignment, or maybe even a game. But Micah, is it better to do homework after or before practice?
I feel like it just depends what time your practices are. So, for example, as me, as someone with a 5:30 practice time, I find it best to do my homework before practice because I have enough time to like go home, change for sports, stuff like that. But sometimes if I have a lot of homework, I like to split it up. So do like then like one subject before practice, one subject after. So in my opinion, I just feel like it all depends what time your practice is.
Yeah, sometimes when I was like in AAU basketball practice, because like when school ends, I would have to go straight home and get ready because my practice started at like 5:30. So then I feel like honestly, like it works depending on like what your sport is or like what club you're doing. But like ultimately, I like to honestly do it after. Like if like I said earlier in the last segment, those little pocket times, I like to try to fit in a time. Like maybe if I'm finished with class work and I can work on like that math homework that I had to finish. But ultimately, I honestly just kind of like to have it like one and like for like an hour, I dedicate, that homework time because usually I can do homework pretty quickly. So that's why I like to kind of have like that 1 hour to just dedicate to homework.
Yeah, for sure. I feel like also if you're a fast worker, then you might be able to like fit homework in at times when probably people who are like slower workers or like to take their time can't.
But if you're a slow worker, like there's nothing wrong with that. Like you will find as you continue to become a student athlete what works best for you. Just for me and Micah, like even though we have different ways we do it, we still try to find time, to get our homework done,
Like again, being a student athlete, it's all about that time management, managing pressure, stuff like that.
Still going along with segment 2 about time management. So Micah, what's one mistake that you've seen or you've done yourself about time management?
A mistake that me personally that I've done myself is probably just putting work off because I'm feeling like lazy or whatever, which obviously as a person, as a student athlete, that's a normal feeling to feel. But I feel like sometimes I'm just like, oh, well, I don't want to do my math homework right now. I'll do it later. And then sometimes putting it off jeopardizes me because then when I want to hang out with my friends, I'm like, oh, wait, I have homework. And then now I can't hang out with my friends. So I feel like definitely a thing for me is just putting off work. It's not good time management, especially when I know I have the time to do it and I just don't feel like it. That is something that I wish I didn't do as much and that I probably shouldn't be doing as a student athlete.
Yeah, I can definitely relate to that because like there's just like some moments like you get home from like a really like, maybe a rough practice or like you just get home, you're just tired in general and like you're like, oh my goodness, I gotta finish this like essay or I gotta finish this math assignment and you're just like, okay, I can just do it tomorrow, I might have time. But you never know, that time could be gone. Like you could, for example, like something could happen and like you won't have any time to do your homework. So that's why like sometimes like sports is important and I get like sometimes you gotta sacrifice just to get stuff done because it's gonna work for you in the long run. It's gonna like help you in the future because if you have good time management now at this age, then when you get older it's gonna be so much more easier if you're wanting to become a student athlete in college and high school.
Literally, guys, like procrastination is not the answer. We should not be procrastinating, guys. was like I just feel like as a student athlete, procrastination, no. Time management, yes. Like
Yes.
learn how to manage your time and you'll be good.
Yes.
And actually adding on to what Jordan was saying about waiting till last minute and maybe you have an essay or something. True story, I procrastinated once on an essay and I was up till 11 p.m. finishing an essay. So
Yeah, sometimes you gotta just like take that sacrifice. Like that's what I was saying in kind of like the first segment, like how like I don't know how to explain it, but like it's just making sure you're like sacrificing just to get that good grade because you know that good grade isn't gonna come easily.
right, like if you have to stay up late, finish your homework. If you gotta wake up early, finish your homework. And not just relating to homework too. Like if you want to be the best, like something I do to sacrifice and be the best and just try and do what I can do in my sport. I wake up super early, like 2 hours before I actually need to. I get a workout in so I can be strong, so I can be the best in my sport. And that is something that I feel like sacrifice just doesn't have to go towards academics. It could also go towards sports too.
Segment 3, mental health. What I mean by this is sometimes we can put our sports and our grades over our health. And sometimes when we don't prioritize our health, that can lead to many bad things. So, Micah, when should a student athlete consider taking a break?
That's a good question, Jordan. Um, they should probably consider taking a break when they find that they're getting antsy and just like overstimulated over even just little things. Like, or if you find yourself crying or just really upset over your sport, or again, like just the amount of pressure and stress from school, parents, like whatever's pressuring you or stuff like that. I feel like, especially when you're noticing those signs, that's when you should probably take a break, a little mental reset, and like maybe do something that'll make you feel better. Just because at the end of the day, yes, I know a bunch of us who care about our sports. That's like, oh, my sport is my whole world or stuff like that. But if you really think about it, like, because I don't want to like influence you guys this because it's really not. But sports, it's not the end of the world if you are bad at your sport or something. But at the same time, I can't say too much on that because I'm someone who cares really deep about my sports performance. But just realize that it's not the end of the world. You're gonna get the next one. Like you got it. Like just it shouldn't be as serious or as detrimental as we take it.
Yeah, I can relate to that because sometimes your your grades, yes, they're important. So they're very important. Your sports is very important. But sometimes you gotta just take a moment, just sit with yourself and just take a moment and say like, hey, like, am I putting too much pressure on myself? Is this getting to a point where like if I mess up, then I'm just gonna go crazy. Like sometimes you just gotta take a moment just to kind of just like sit in your thoughts and just be like, hey, like, do I need to take a break? Like, is this getting too much for me? Because I've had those moments sometimes where it's just like I just need a day to kind of just like get myself together because so much stuff is going on in my mind. You can't like just focus on one thing at a time.
Um, and I think another thing, especially if you're someone with a lot of pressure on you with sports or academics, like anything, that like those type of people, they're the ones not necessarily mainly struggling with like mental health, like as an athlete or whatever, but it's a big toll on how they see themselves as a person, an athlete, like stuff like that. And I don't know if you guys are familiar with it, but volleyball player at Nebraska, Harper Murray, who's actually from Michigan, she is someone who actively talks about athlete mental health because she's someone who struggles with like mental health issues. And just that's another thing, like, and especially her, she has a lot of pressure on her to be the best of the best because she's like just a top athlete. But just the pressure that's there, the pressure that's on you, whether it's about sports or academics, that pressure will all be gone one day. Like it's okay. And also realize that it's okay to struggle. Like we all struggle. It's okay to cry sometimes. It's okay to cry over athlete performance. I'm someone who does that sometimes. So just keep going along with it. It's fine.
Also, just like one more thing to add. So, from my perspective, so when you know how I said like sometimes when you're tall, people say like you have to do sports. Like that's something like you're just like given to do because of my height. But to like put this in perspective, kind of like what Micah said, like you don't have to like you don't have to like listen to other people, like especially your parents if they're trying to force you to do sports. Like you don't have to, because you have your own interests and you have like your own things that you want to do, and your tallness doesn't affect or doesn't imply saying like, oh, I have to do sports, like I have to do basketball or I have to do volleyball. Moving along to segment 3, our last segment about mental health. Micah, how do you handle bad games, bench time, or just an overall rough day?
How I handle that is I take the anger, the frustration, the sadness, whatever I'm feeling, and I make that into motivation that will make me want to get in the gym the next day and train the best I can be the best I can be, like I keep saying. And I just turn all that into motivation where it's like, yeah, I can do this, or yeah, I am capable of that, stuff like that.
Yeah, sometimes like for example, if I have like a bad game, like going on with mental health, like don't take all that anger that you had, like saying, "Hey, I missed that shot," or "Hey, I could have, I shagged that ball." Like, for like, don't take all of that and put it into your next performance and say like, "Hey, set a goal for yourself," kind of like, "Hey, like I'm gonna score 10 buckets or 10 points," or "Hey, I'm gonna get 5 spikes in, and they're all gonna go in."
Yeah.
Like take all of that and put it into motivation for your next performance. Because if you focus, like when my parents say to me, my parents like always say to me, if you dwell on your past performance, it's gonna affect you in the next performance, and you're gonna just keep doing bad, and you're just gonna keep doing bad. And like you're gonna always put that pressure on yourself, like, hey, like why am I doing bad? It's because you keep dwelling on the past when you need to move forward.
Like something I do, especially after bad performance, I go back, I watch the whole game because we record our games in volleyball, and I go back, I watch the whole game, and especially the parts where I mess up, I rewatch it over and over, and I think about the things I could have done differently. Then the next time, if the next day is another game, I go in and I do the best I can be. I stay on my stuff, and then if it's practice the next day, I go into practice and I have goals for myself like Jordan was saying, and I just try and do what I can do, and again, not dwell on it exactly, but just try and learn from my mistakes as well.
Yeah, going on to what she says when she records her games, it's actually good if you record your game because you can see what your mistakes are, and then the next day go in the gym and go work on your mistakes.
Right.
Because if you just like say like, hey, I made this mistake, but it's fine, you're gonna make the same mistake again. Like don't expect it to change after one game. Like you're gonna have to work on the mistakes so you can keep getting better and you don't make that same mistake again.
Exactly. Like don't expect results if you're not going to put the work in, and that just goes for everybody's student, whether you're a student, whether you're an athlete, whether you're a student athlete, like because it goes in all aspects of life. If you're not going to put the work in, don't expect results.
Yeah, that's something you gotta carry with yourself, not even just as a student athlete, but like all through your life. Well, guys, that was it for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope if you are a student athlete, then you can use these to your benefit.
Yes, thank you, Jordan, for having me. Bye, YouTube.
Bye. Moving along, still with segment 2 about time management. Micah, what's one mistake that you've done yourself? Did I look weird?
No, it was like, no, I don't know. I just started laughing.
I just saw you looking.
All capable of something. So take your anger, frustration, sadness, happiness, whatever, and turn that. Why you just did like that? Testing. Is this thing on? Is it on?
No.
Is it on?
No.
Is it on?
Oh my goodness.
Okay, guys, go follow my Instagram, Micah.AndersonVB15. Yeah, I'm the GOAT right here.